Certainly. Reading API documentation effectively and utilizing API client libraries are essential skills for successful API integration. Here's a guide to help you with both. 1. Reading API documentation effectively. Start with the basics. Begin by understanding the API's purpose, the available endpoints, and the supported request methods, GET, POST, etc. Authentication and authorization. Look for details on how to authenticate and authorize your requests. This may involve API keys, OAuth, JWT, or other authentication methods. Request and response formats. Understand the expected request structure, parameters, headers, etc., and the response format, JSON, XML, etc. Endpoint reference. Explore each endpoint's functionality, parameters, and possible query options. Note any required or optional parameters, query syntax, or pagination options. Error handling. Familiarize yourself with the error codes, error messages, and error response structure. Understand how to handle potential errors gracefully. Rate limiting and usage guidelines. Take note of any rate limits, usage restrictions, or guidelines provided by the API provider. Examples and tutorials. Look for code examples and tutorials provided in the documentation to gain a practical understanding of how to use the API effectively. 2. Utilizing API client libraries. Choose the appropriate library. Identify if the API provider offers any official client libraries for your preferred programming language. If not, explore community-supported libraries. Installation and setup. Follow the installation instructions for the chosen library and ensure it is properly set up in your development environment. Initialization. Initialize the client library with the necessary configurations, such as API endpoint URLs, authentication credentials, or API keys. Making requests. Use the library's methods or functions to make API requests. These methods often handle the underlying HTTP communication and simplify the process. Handling responses. Understand how to extract relevant data from the response objects returned by the client library. This may involve accessing response headers, status codes, or JSON parsing. Error handling. Learn how the library handles API errors and exceptions. Familiarize yourself with the error handling mechanisms provided by the library. Advanced features. If available, explore any additional features provided by the library, such as pagination support, batch requests, or custom request options. Remember to refer to the API documentation and the specific documentation of the client library you are using for detailed instructions and examples. They often provide step-by-step guides, code snippets, and troubleshooting tips. By effectively reading API documentation and utilizing API client libraries, you can streamline your integration process and leverage the API's capabilities more efficiently. If you have any further questions or need additional assistance, feel free to ask.